And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Here's what I like about being a board game reviewer. I review big games and small games, and when I play a big game that I'm expecting to be amazing, if it's amazing, I'm surprised by it, but not overly so, because I kind of expected it to be. But I play lots and lots of small games, and I play a lot of small games that when I open them up and look at them, I'm like, oh, well, here we go. That is not how I felt when I opened this game. When I saw this box contract here, I thought, that's okay. And when I did the unboxing, I was blown away with how cool the components were inside this game. Now, that doesn't mean it's a great game, but I was like, wow, this game looks cool. So in this game, you are basically trying to hire and influence different members of the big mafia families and become the most powerful dealer of all. In this game, you're not actually doing any bad things in this game. You're just hiring mafia people. Maybe you're hiring them to give you advice on your stock market dealings. I don't know. But in this game, it's kind of a back and forth game as you are essentially bidding on different mafia members trying to have the most of different families. Here's how it plays. The goal of this game is to control the different mafia members. Now, there are 4 different color families. There's black, but they're wild. And each of these colors at the end of the game, you're going to add up the numbers on the colors, and whoever has the highest value is going to win a random arrow that's put in here. So, for example, if you're first place in blue, at the end of the game, that's worth 60 million. And then second place, we'll take the other arrow over here, and you can see that's worth 20 million. There's also some random tokens that are placed here at the top on different sides. And so, for example, here, if you have the most red cards at the end of the game, you'll get 20 million. And so there's various different things. The first person to get 2 black cards will get 10 million here. Or the first person to get 3 2s will get 15 million. So there's various cards that will be coming out as the game goes by, or different ways to get points. Players are going to do that by trying to control these folks that are out here. Each player is going to start with a card that shows their family, as well as 3 poker chips of that family. Each round of the game, you're going to put out a certain number of mafiosa members here. Some of them are face up, some are face down, so you know the family, but you don't know the number on that family. Players are dealt 5 of these cards, and the round begins. Now, there are different cards here in this influence deck, and on your turn, you have different things you can do. 1, you can play influence on any of these characters. You can simply put a chip on that character to show that you're adding 1 influence. That's why the chips show 1 on them. You can add influence to some place you already have influence. You always have to have at least one of your chips there to show that it's yours, but any card can be played as half an influence on anybody. Then there are cards that are contract cards, which can only be played on that color. So this can only be played on Costa. This can only be played on the red characters. There are ones that are just a dollar bill. They can be played anywhere. You can also pay half a coin or half a point basically to move the copper to a new spot. If you win the spot with the copper, you're going to be able to force either somebody else to discard a card of the family that it's on, or you'll get this card for the next round, which is basically just a 1 influence. The Vice Lord is very similar. If you control them, you'll get this 2 that can be played on wherever the Vice Lord is in the next round. And that's basically it. You're just going to take turns placing influence or adding influence to someone that's out there. And once everyone has passed, you'll add your influence on each of the mafiosa. If there's a tie, nothing happens. Otherwise, whoever has it gets that card and puts it in front of them. And the player who wins the mafiosa card with the copper on uses one of their powers, or the Vice Lord takes the Vice Lord card, and you start another round. And you're going to keep going till this deck runs out, at which point, which is either going to be 4 or 5 rounds, at which point you'll add up together the points, take these arrows, add any of these bonus briefcases points in, and whoever has the most points is the winner of the game. Now, I think the components for this game are phenomenal. The cards are nice. They have a little bit of embossed printing on them. I like the artwork. I mean, it's kind of silly little artwork, but considering how dark the theming of this game is, they're just some mafia people kind of staring at you. But I really like how it looks. I think it's clear, it's easy to see what's what. These are great big cards. I like how the whole board here fits together. You know, each thing slides in, the arrows slide in, the briefcases slide in. The card quality is good. It's easy to distinguish between the families. And then these poker chips are they're phenomenally really good quality. This is a really nice production, just top notch. Okay, simple enough. It's a very easy game, but it's this back and forth. What are you going to do? Now, you're obviously constrained by your cards in your hand. You don't have to use all the cards in your hand. You're going to get a new hand of 5 cards. So what you might do is play very few cards one round, so that the next round you have a lot of cards. I have a lot of blue cards in my hand. There's no blue Mafia members out there. Well, why waste them as the halves? But there's that back and forth fighting over someone. Like when you really invest in someone, I put 3 influence points or 4 influence points in as one Mafia member, and you put 4. Well, I don't want that to go to waste. I'm going to fight for that Mafia member. So there's a couple small things, okay, about the game. This, first of all, as I already mentioned, the production value, outstanding, right? It's also a fairly quick game. It says 40 minutes on here, but could even be faster than that, 30 minutes easily. But it is possible to play this game and just get shellacked. You're playing it, and everywhere you go, especially in a multiplayer type of game, if you're playing with 4 or 5 or whatever, you know, it's easy for everyone else to outbid you in different spots, and it just so happens that you come out the big loser. You get nothing at the end of the game. This has definitely happened to me. It doesn't bother me because the game is so short, and I just jump back into it, but that could bug some people. Like, you know, in a lot of auction games at the end of a round, you might say, well, I lost that, but at least I won that. In this, very possible to go, oh, I won nothing. Because those were the 2 cards I fought for, and both the other players fought more for them. And they each got 1, and I got nothing. Secondly, the point scoring at the end is like, oh, well, blues are worth this, reds are worth this, and the points kind of swingy type degree, and you could have gotten a lot of cards, and you still may not win the game. Those are both minor. Both of those are mitigated by, again, the fact that it's so short. What I like about Contract is I like this tension that it builds, because I'm not a huge auction fan, but this one you can watch the cards and you're saying, listen, I'm going to win that guy. I got more cards in my hand. You could be bluffing. You might not have the cards in the hand. And then moving the copper and the vice lord around, those also change a little bit about how things are played, and there's just some nice little back and forths. I'm not sure that Contract is bringing anything new to the table. What it does is it streamlines this bidding, letting every card be usable, because you can always use a half somewhere, making it so that if you think you're going to fail in one round and not do so well, you can save your cards for the next round. And I just think it has this nice back and forth feeling. And right before it would get too boring and too samey, the game ends. It's not that long. So this is, like I said, an absolutely professional production. It's an interesting theme. I know some people don't like Mafia themes, and I can understand that. But in this one, like I said, it's very, you could be bidding for influence for anything. There's no crime actually in the game. Well, I guess you're bribing the police officer. But I think it's a fast and fun game. I think it's going to go underneath a lot of people's radars. It shouldn't go underneath yours. Check it out. That's Contract. Dice Tower Judgment approved.